sure. So I'll send it. I'll send it in the chat here in a minute. But welcome to a One Take Podcast, episode 179. This week we are reviewing A Quiet Place, Day One, another long movie title. Dex is gallivanting around the Fury Road down in the, down under, as they would say. I'm sure they would really appreciate that impersonation. But we are joined.
Dex got his groove back.
Yeah, exactly. We wish Dex a happy birthday wherever he may be watching
Happy
this
birthday,
on the
Dex.
other side of the world.
Absolutely.
The toilet water spins backwards down there, right? That's the
That's
thing
what
that I
they
know
say.
about. But on top of all that, we're really, subbing in the pinch hitter, like coming off the bench hot. Marcus Brent. He's got some reps up from our last podcast, so we decided to get him back in here. And also because he was going to go see A Quiet Place anyway. So
just call me
Well,
Air Jordan, man. I'm here.
heating up as it were. So we're doing A Quiet Place, but I wanted to talk about this really quickly. You were saying that you've stumbled across some of your old thread blogs, which is what was this? A precursor to like what was the blog that everybody used forever?
It was like a WordPress thing. We were using WordPress.
Not a WordPress, but I forget. I was thinking Pinterest or something. People are going to yell at me in the chat what the stream of conscious blog thing was that everybody used. But
I forgot. We had friends that used it, but I forgot.
It basically just turned into a porn website. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Not Tumblr. Is it Tumblr?
Tumblr. Yeah,
Tumblr. Yeah.
So this is like a precursor to Tumblr, or is this? Well, I've never heard of this.
I think they were going on simultaneously. Threaders was WordPress was like the more professional of the two.
Yeah.
Sans porn.
Definitely.
So a thread blog that you brought up, but I just have to say this because it's a movie podcast. The first one is A Brave New World. So after watching Pixar's latest edition of the family to the family of Brave last week, I felt it necessary to do a quick review of the movie and then talk about my ranking of the 13 films up to date.
13.
Ooh, I want to see those rankings.
Hold on,
it's actually at the end of it, it's before July 4th is when that published. So here we are.
13.
Cars 2 last.
Cars 2, yeah.
That still works. Then Ratatouille, that still works. Then Brave. Then Cars.
The Gen Z would be mad at you for your Ratatouille ranking, by the way. They love
it. Yeah,
film.
I may move it up, but I still haven't seen it again since then. So I owe it another look.
You know who actually loves Ratatouille as well too? Chefs.
Yeah,
chefs love that movie. So yeah, you can go find his old threads. Let's see what you had as number one. The Incredibles. The Incredibles.
Yeah, that hasn't changed.
But also on this, a 2012 draft preview with your very own less humble Tej.
It's me,
Michael Young history.
Is this? Were you just talking about whoever came to mind? Because this has Kellen Moore, first person talking about.
We did a thing where it was like we went down the picks.
I'm sure.
We went down the picks, but then we also did like profiles on some of the more notable people that weren't going to be first rounders, but that everybody knew, like a Russell Wilson, like a Kellen Moore.
Somebody said, I think we can see a lot of Russell Wilson in the NFL. That was true. We were still seeing it.
Well, Kellen Moore is now an offensive coordinator, so there's that.
3 times over.
That didn't work out.
So yeah, what was the worst and wrong opinion? Did you like have a shut up and dribble take that we needed to like?
So I said at one point that I had an entry because I was big on players that stayed with one team over the course of their entire career and didn't make it about them and weren't always trying to get theirs, as it were, trying to be a role model for the kids, as it were. And trying to stay at one place at one time and not move around. This is, of course, before the player empowerment ever of the NBA started off. So,
how the name on the front of the jersey used to mean something.
Yep.
Have it shared in the chat. Meanwhile, Hakeem played for a different team.
He did.
Anyway, so I love going. Never go back to your old blogs, by the way. Never do that.
Never.
So anyway,
rough.
that is our guest, Marcus Brent, our co-host for the evening, Marcus Brent. But we were talking about films here on this podcast. A Quiet Place, day one. Let me just go ahead and give the synopsis for this movie. Came out over the weekend. 6.8 rating on IMDb. That is a low rating considering how many people I know actually like this film, and considering the other Quiet Place movies are in sort of the seven range and 7.5 range in on IMDb. A woman named Sam finds herself trapped in New York City during the early stages of an invasion by alien creatures with ultra sensitive hearing. Written and directed by Michael Sarnowski. Sarnowski, rather. John Krasinski actually helped write the story for this movie. I think Sarnowski wrote the screenplay for it. It stars Lupita Nyong'o, Joseph Quinn, Jaimin Hansu, Alex Wolff are the notable names that you would know from other projects. And does anyone want to play the Tej? You probably already saw this, actually. Do you know the box office for this?
I saw the international. I didn't see the domestic.
All told, Marcus, do you have a guess?
In the 30s.
It made worldwide $102 million over the weekend.
Oh, wow.
And grossed 57. Well, this is Tuesday as recording this. Grossed 57 million gross US and Canada, 52 million opening weekend, $67 million budget for this movie, which is crazy.
And it's going to be streaming at the end of
Talk about
July.
that really quick. On top of everything else, we'll talk about the movie here in a second. But we're the big box office boys on this podcast. You know, we're so back, we're so over, sort of thing on this show. What are we doing? What are they doing?
This movie's making money.
Is that real?
Like,
is that real that they're going to take it to streaming within the month?
Not even a month anymore. You don't even get a month anymore, even when the movie's successful. Obviously, when it happened to Furiosa, we knew why it was happening, because the movie wasn't making any money.
Well,
this movie made back its budget plus more internationally, and we're still doing it. It's just. I understand it's the summer, so like there's a lot of movies coming out. There's a lot of like big blockbuster movies, but it just feels weird. It just feels like a weird thing. And from what I could tell, that was true. I didn't go try to verify it, but I saw it enough times to where I thought that it was true. And if that is true, that just blew my mind. That's insane.
Yeah, you're just throwing the flag, throwing it in early, throwing the towel, early, especially right before the 4th of July. Like, people are going to go to see this movie along with other things that they didn't get out last weekend. So just cutting it at the knees like this already just really sucks, especially like you said, like it made $100 million. Like, what more do people want?
Looper, the website Looper has it said after just a few days in theaters, it was announced the horror prequel would be available digitally on platforms Google, Amazon, Apple, any VOD site on July 30th.
That's insane.
What is happening? What happened to the game that I loved? You know?
That's insane.
When the name on the front of the jersey means more than the name on the back.
Please don't do this.
Well, the thing is, there has to be some math that they have done that they are actually making money over the top on these VOD sales.
Mm-hmm.
Some, they know which movies will make money and which movies won't make money on these VOD, and it's better to keep them in. But it's like this movie, like obviously it made its budget, so they're just like, screw it, where it's all coming out in the wash anyway. After this, it's all gravy.
It's house money at that point.
Yeah, it's all gravy after this. So whatever, but I don't know. I just think we saw one of the highest grossing films on the planet, and it's like number 5 right now, I think, maybe higher than that. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. They just left that in theaters.
It's just been sitting there in theaters making money.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It still has showtimes in places. So I don't know. I just think there's some calculus that they have done that they know which movies will make money on VOD for $20 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I think this is probably one of them. You know, horror movie, pretty accessible, PG-13. You can watch it, at home, and it also already has this built-in fan base. But it has this built-in fan base, obviously, that have, gone and seen the movie or may want to see the movie twice. Mm-hmm. Or by word of mouth, it continues to make money. I don't know. I just think that kneecapping yourself with because we've always said where you actually make money, I think, is in the actual box office. Now you got to pay the theater cost and things of that nature to keep it on the screens.
Sure.
I don't know. I just find that kind of gross, like,
It's just
especially
weird.
when a movie does good. We're doing this. I don't understand.
So there's no line. You don't know what goes into the equation, like you said. Like there's obviously an equation that they're going by, but to us, the movie going public, the people that actually are supporting movies, you're telling us two different things. Like we don't understand where we can go to if we're making a difference or not, because you're basically just laughing in our face and being like, well, I'm still going to take it out of the theaters after a week, so screw it, screw you, thanks for the money that you gave us to get us here, but now we're just going to go ahead and do it on video on demand and get rid of the theater out of altogether.
Wild.
Yeah, especially I don't know. It just feels like everything has become so short sighted, and maybe like we're Chicken Little, the sky is falling. But I get why they did it with Furiosa, because it didn't even crack $100 million domestically.
Mm-hmm.
I just think this is done so well. It's just like you're losing the opportunity not only for that, but for your movie to really kind of have any cultural impact. It feels like too,
Yeah.
because that's where I mean, yes, when stuff went to streaming, like we talk about on this podcast a lot, The Menu or whatever, one of those mid-budget films that then seeps into the consciousness because now a billion people watched it on Max or whatever. Yes, but I just think that an event movie like these movies are seeps into the consciousness through seeing it on the big screen. I kind of have always held that opinion. I just don't think that like you're going to buy A Quiet Place, or like boomers are going to buy A Quiet Place on VOD, and then it's going to seep into the culture at all. It just doesn't make any
Nothing
sense.
has ever seeped into the consciousness via VOD. It's never happened because I'm assuming that there's a lot of people that use VOD and are willing to go spend $20 as opposed to spending $100 to take you and your whole family to the movie theater. But
Yeah.
nothing has ever seeped into the consciousness of the discussion because it's available on VOD and theaters, and everybody watched it on VOD. It's just a completely weird decision that doesn't really make sense. But I'm afraid that we're going to see more stories like this, especially in the summer, like I said, because there's so many. There's such a battle for screens right now, ironically, because movie theaters are dying. But everybody wants to get their movies on the theater. There's every week of the next 2 months basically has a big name movie from a big name director or big name IP or big name actor in it. Like it's just or a big horror film that's supposed to track well. Like pretty much every week we've got something. So maybe that has something to do with it. It's just it's kind of sad to see, especially when not only is this movie making money, which who cares in the grand scheme of things, but also the movie's good. Like it's not a
Yeah.
bad movie. So it's
You know who's going to keep his shit in theaters come hell or high water? Kevin Costner, baby.
Yeah. Well,
I actually
Kevin
saw
Costner's
that
already
today.
getting ahead of it. He's already like, well, we knew we were going to get killed in the movie theaters, but we got all this stuff. And it's like, all right, Kevin, like, you still have another movie releasing. Doesn't the next one come out like next month or
Yeah, it
something
comes
like
out next
that?
month.
August, yeah. He's copping please heavy. He's just like I'm washing my hands of this one. It's the next one you got to go see. The next 3-hour epic of a probably
Yeah, everyone's going to go see
four
that one, even
series.
though no one saw the first one. Sure.
So quick story before we get into A Quiet Place. I went today. I got back from my screening about 3 hours ago, and I didn't mind it. It was like a Western TV show. Granted, I have not seen anything of Yellowstone.
Wait, you said A Quiet Place. You mean you went to go see Horizon today?
Yeah, I went to see Horizon today.
Got it.
Sorry, and like I said, it was like a TV show Western that is broken up into several different stories, vignettes, basically sort of playing all together, but not really having any sort of tangible connection. The general age of the person in my theater had to be 55.
Nice.
It was full. It was full, but I was by far at 38 the youngest person in that theater by a mile, and I don't know how this movie is going to make money if only old people are going to go see it.
Yeah, it is.
What'd you say?
But
You didn't hate the movie.
But I didn't hate the movie.
It is not targeting that 18 to 24 demo in
Oh,
the slightest.
not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all.
And I have a running theory that they like to talk about. It's like, oh well, young people don't like to pay attention to the theaters, and Michael Rooker had a take about that today, which I won't even get into. You can follow me on Twitter if you want my takes on that. But I just think like boomers don't go to the movie theater in mass, and this is the one thing that they're going to do. And then they kind of realized it's like, oh, there's not enough of boomers that go to the movie theater even still. Yeah, we kind of need the millennials and Gen Z to carry us.
Actually, keep this
'cause-
afloat. I had multiple people in my theater go to the restroom at least multiple times. So the 3 hours was definitely killing people. I know one guy was just absolutely going to war. He at least got up 4 times in the theater.
brother got the large drink and really overestimated himself.
Very much.
What was the demographics of the theater, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, they were white. A lot of white. There was a few minorities, myself included, in that mix, but yeah, definitely a lot of white folks.
I was just the Yellowstone base is what I was
basically that's who was in there.
And anyway, I mean, what I've heard about the movie, and I'm gonna try to go see it. It's just like should have been a mini series is the whole thing. Yeah. That's what I've heard about it. Just should have been a mini series, but he's just refused to do that. So, congratulations to him for his convictions. But sure,
And Costner actually shows up an hour into the movie.
That's what I've heard too.
Like what? No Costner.
Right, the movie star of the movie that he's banking on and like banking himself on and his personal fortune, might I add.
Yep.
Just to be like, I'm not showing up in this shit until you make me. Anyway. I'm gonna probably still go see it, but 3 hours. Oof. I will say this: 3 hours for half of a movie. We did this with Dune.
Yes. We've done this before.
Hate that. All right. A Quiet Place Day One has an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 74% audience score. Grounded in raw humanity by Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn, this sideways entry into A Quiet Place finds fresh notes of fright to play amongst the silence. Marcus, what'd you think?
Me personally, I'm giving this one a B. I think it is, of the 3 movies, it's a toss-up between 2 in this one. I still think I enjoy 2 a bit more. I do enjoy how I realized watching, because I watched both of them before I watched the third one last week, that the monsters in this movie only are killing people just because they're making noise. Like they don't use the bodies for like sustenance or anything. They just are literally just getting rid of people because they're loud and they just don't want to hear anybody. It was fun to see like sort of the day one of it all. The only thing that I was a little bit cringy about is, and I don't know if it'll ever get away, but having this in New York, having this have the streets full of like smoke. This is all like 9/11 stuff that I'm bringing up, and it's still it still feels weird to watch that on screen after still having, I guess, some of this unprocessed trauma 20 years later about how
I
that
had the
all
same
felt
exact thought.
I'd never even.
I had the same exact thought when I first saw all the soot. I was like, yeah, that gives 9/11 vibes immediately.
Yeah, so it's so hard to ever take that away and separate it in like a work of fiction like this. I thought Lupita was great, and that when you're in hospice and you're at the end of your rope, that all you want is pizza. Like I get that. I feel that in my bones.
It's the driving force of the movie.
Her super cat was really weird because I'm not a cat person, and have this cat somehow managed to survive every circumstance.
I have a cat, and I gotta tell you, that fucker would sell me out so fast. It would be unbelievable. I look like not against hurting. I'm against hurting animals, but good lord, you got to get rid of the cat.
Got to get rid of the cat. But I mean,
this is also
the same franchise that let them get pregnant in a world where clearly you can't avoid pregnancy after a certain point, other than just abstinence. Yeah. But just the idea that you can have a baby in this world is insanity.
Yeah, I mean, the first one starts off with them not paying attention to where their 2-year-old is. So,
Literally.
it's you got to suspend disbelief with these movies a little bit. But yeah, the cat, I was like, it's a great character, but I'm also like, what the? My cat would be like, like it would freak out. The cat's like swimming and stuff. It's crazy.
Yes. No noise.
Yeah. Never meows once.
Not even once.
Anyway,
He does
best
just
cat.
about everything but meow. Like,
Exactly. Anyway.
But yeah,
So
that's
you
my take on it.
give it a
I
B.
give it a B.
Tej, you got any thoughts? I saw you gave this 4.5 stars on Letterboxd.
I was higher on it. I since moved it back down to 4. Not really for any particular reason. I probably just enjoyed being in a theater more than But I think that we as moviegoers are too cynical, and it's partially our faults, but partially not our faults. I saw a lot of headlines this week about the movie, like in a movie that could have been boring retread, like actually it's pretty good. I don't understand that. I didn't see any reason why this movie wasn't going to be great. The fact that we don't have an origin story of that story is indicative of just how creative the universe is. Like, we don't even think about the fact that, like, in the first movie, you're literally just dropped into this universe. Like, you pick up the rules on the fly, you're dropped in the universe. It's like day 100 or 200 or whatever the fuck it is, right? We're nowhere near the beginning of this thing because these people already have a system of how to communicate and how to move and how to operate in a world where you can't make any noise. And that's kind of how you dropped into it in the first movie, and then you extend that out to the second movie. So I had pretty high expectations going into this because now we're going to see how it's going to happen. And we're in fucking New York City. We're the loudest city on earth. And we've got Lupita Nyong'o. Like, I saw nothing that would make me think that they were going to make something bad that wasn't going to be worthy of your time. The only thing that gave me even a little bit of pause was the fact that we were switching directors, but that didn't really harm this movie at all. I actually really enjoyed it.
Have y'all seen Pig from him?
Swarovski? I have not seen Pig.
I have not seen
Pig rules, by the way. If you haven't seen Pig, it's such a weird indie film with Nicolas Cage.
Pig? I might have seen
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Pig. I've seen Pig. I've seen
He's like in a weird underground fight club, but he's also a chef. It's such a
chef. Yeah.
Strange, really cool film. It's on Hulu. So this is a step up from what he made with that movie, like big time as far as like scale, but yeah.
I didn't realize I had seen anything that he made before. I like this movie. I had a great time. I'm not a cat person either, but I really enjoyed Frodo, which is the name of the cat. I enjoyed the fact that we've got, as soon as you open up on her, you're like, oh shit, she has cancer. I was like, I'm already in. Like, what a perfect person for us to follow. Someone that we know is going to die because they're expendable. In terms of the entire universe, they're expendable. But now we get to hang out with this person, and it changes that person's motivations. I really like the scene where she's walking against traffic because everybody's going towards the shore to get on a skateboat. She's just like going the opposite way because she's going uptown to Harlem to get some pizza. Like, I thought the way that was shot was so cool. I did think 9/11 when I saw the soot, but there were a couple times where we used the soot to hide what was behind where the camera was. So like there were certain shots where it's so smoky that there's something there, but you as a viewer can't see it until the soot clears. I thought that was just very cool use of that effect. Mm-hmm. I thought the way that the cinematography looked good. I obviously loved Lupita. She's always amazing. I liked our charming interloper that she runs into, but I will say, Quinn. I will say that like a random white dude is following a woman around during the apocalypse, like that's gonna get rapey. Like that, there's no way that's not gonna get rapey. There's just no way. Like in real life, I'm not gonna let you go with me because this is literally, we're in the purge now. I'm not going to let you follow me because I know the rules of the purge. So I thought that was a bit weird the way that they met, but once they got together, I was like, I'm into this. I'm totally into this story. I like all the decisions they make towards the end of the movie. I just thought it was a pretty good time. I would not. I just saw some people say it was the best of the series. I don't know where I would put it honestly, but I can't ignore the fact that the first one is the first one to have this idea. And the idea, this is one of those movies where the idea is too cool so that you're going to keep watching these movies. They just happen to be good, but like the idea is too good. Like the idea of you have to be perfectly silent or else you're going to get eaten up is just cool. Like seeing Djimon Hounsou pop up in the movie, he's only in like 4 or 5 scenes. It's just cool to see him. Like, and also he just randomly kills a dude that he had to kill. Like, I was like, yes, that's awesome. You gotta start fucking killing.
He does
people.
that in so
This
many
dude-
movies.
He does. He does.
He's got that. He's got this. Just these like
Bulging
creaking,
eyes.
bulging, crazy eyes. Where he'll just like, and if he's like strangling somebody, he will like just like slam that dude's head up against the bed.
That dude was gonna get everybody killed.
I
Yeah,
just
I would've-
thought he was. I thought he was just trying to keep him quiet, and then he just wasn't moving. And I was like, "Oh, you did that too."
Oh, he's dead.
They don't address that at all because Djimon Hounsou in these movies, like especially if you've seen the second one, he kind of just is like nerfed in both of these movies, like where he just is like there for 2 minutes. I keep
Yeah.
thinking that they're gonna give him more to do, like his own.
I thought he was going to
prequel.
be a significant character in this movie.
Yeah.
The only
Well, I thought
significant
he
scene he has is really
did
at the
too
end.
much in this movie that I don't even know why he needed to be in this movie when you think of like what it
was just a
Bills-
movie making
Bills had to
trick
be
to
paid.
like
Yeah.
no, it's a movie making trick to like thread it to the
sequel.
world. Yeah.
I didn't even remember that he was in the second one until I walked out of the theater. So it didn't in the theater. I didn't put it together. But I like the decisions that they made. This was a very enjoyable movie for me, and I will also say that like the thing that we do, where like we've left it open, like this spoiler alert, this character is disposable, and they could actually jump back into do a Quiet Place 3 or put something in the middle. I think leaves open a lot of room, and they're going to be successful. They're going to make their money, so we're probably going to see another one. But I'm just in. Also, this movie has taught me more than anything. Like I would be awful in this universe. I'm not quiet. I'm not flexible. I snore. Like, what happens to people who snore in this universe? Like, are we just gone? Like,
Oh no,
are we
those
just
people were
dead on
definitely
night one? Like,
Did you see
there's
any heavy people in that world still?
yeah,
No,
like
man,
there's
we are
fat
gone.
people are
first
gone, bro. Like, there's no way I'll take my chances with the zombies, even the World War Z zombies over the Quiet Place, which is the most horrifying universe to me. And I think I've finally realized the reason why it's so horrifying to me is because I literally couldn't do it. Like, there's no way in which I would survive this universe at all. You have to be quiet. I don't move quietly. The floorboards will creak. Like, I'm a big dude. Like, I'm not meant for the Quiet
I'm
Place.
so
So it makes it
heavy-footed.
scary to me.
It's
I'm
unbelievable.
heavy-footed.
That's what I
And
wanted
I'm
to bring up. That's what I wanted to bring up. So in the end times, I personally would not survive because of obviously what we just discussed, but because I cannot stand having wet shoes. Like, wet clothes is one thing. Wet shoes, like having my feet wet, and I have big feet. I have a size 15. I wear like 16 or 17 shoes.
huge feet.
So already from jump, I'm going to be in trouble because like once my shoes are done, I'm fucked because I can't
go to
I
a
can't walk
Payless,
the-
yeah.
I can't. Like, what am I gonna do? And when they get wet, because I played The Last of Us Part 2 when they just did the remaster a few
Great
months
game.
ago, and so yeah, a wonderful game.
Incredible game.
But like seeing Ellie and Abby like go through water and have to like climb out of it and just be soaked and have their. I just kept thinking about their shoes. I'm like, I can do everything. I am down for the count for like everything else, but I cannot do wet feet. It drives me crazy.
Just trench foot all over the
Oh
place.
my god.
Yeah,
I gave it an A-. Sorry, I gave it an A-.
Yeah.
I did put 4.5 stars on Letterboxd, but I put it back down to 4. Not because there's anything wrong with the movie by any means, but I like when I go down my list of 4.5 star movies, I don't think it's gonna be
Hold.
right to sit next to those movies. But I really had a good time in the movie theater, and I always say this about these films, and I know that it's now on VOD, so this is even more poignant of a point. Go see these films in the movie theaters because you don't realize. Obviously, sound is important to the movie, obviously, but like the sound of silence in a movie theater that is broken up by any noise, and there's a lot of moments, obviously, where the sound is broken up. The way that it startles you to go from complete silence to a loud noise in a universe where you know that a loud noise will cost somebody their life is just so horrifying, and it's something unlike any other film franchise that I've ever seen in terms of a scary movie, just because it's just different. You're not used to sound being that important to the movie, but hearing that in a movie theater always increases my enjoyability of these movies. And so go see this in a movie theater if you care about this universe at all. It's probably not going to be the last one, but Lupita was great and did a great job with it. Gave it an A-.
Yeah, I mean, it plays on the trope of just being silent, like trying to hide from the killer, but for an entire movie, and like your silence actually does, you'll meet your end if you aren't silent. If you aren't silent, the killer will like Michael Myers will like burst through the door because he heard you or something. It doesn't always end up that the final girl will die in that scenario, but it's just like somebody will sneeze and they'll get the door broken down and they'll have to run out of the room. This is like you fart and you're taken away to the Netherlands. And it's just like, man, if you had a bad gas that day, it's just over for you. The mechanics of this world are always is like what constitutes what's loud of a noise, because in this movie, we've already gone full spoiler, but a shirt rips and that's what that's what does it. But then they're like walking on glass and stuff like that, and he's breathing heavy as hell, and they can't hear him. But you kind of suspend disbelief with some of this stuff, just for the big noise to really get your attention and throw you into the movie. I thought the biggest spoiler alert of the movie actually is the first 10 minutes of the movie, because you come in and it's like, oh, she's going to die anyway.
Yeah.
And that is such a bold choice for the movie to say, really what matters here. How do you continue living when you know that you're going to die anyway, and probably soon? She's in hospice. She has some type of cancer, obviously, and she's on these pain meds and all this stuff. Like, she's actively dying. And they tell you that in the first 10 minutes. And so it's for you to sit around and just be like, okay, I'm going to go along with this journey. We'll see what happens. And luckily they do a pretty good job of interweaving Joseph Quinn into there. So then you start to have someone who he does a really good job. He's sort of is this sort of sad sack lawyer kid who's having panic attacks. So you start to feel bad for him. And so they weave him in there. So you have somebody to root for living. And then she continues to have a purpose outside of also wanting to go get pizza, which is just a funny sort of, I get it. It's a funny sort of plot line going around. Yeah. And, if you've had New York pizza, you'll understand, like, you just got to get that last slice. I get it. But I think both Lupita and Joseph Quinn together are really good. There's moments where they're like kind of like super like intimate, and like she has to like hold him to keep him from having a panic attack, and like it's just really, really good stuff. And especially the moments when he has to go get her medicine, and then she's talking about like, we're gonna go get pizza and not die. And it's funny because it's like sometimes they can whisper in this movie, sometimes they can't, but they're whispering to each other, and like it's really intimate, more, I want to say more grounded, because I feel like the second one is really gritty and real. It's more expansive than this one is, even though this one's in New York. But this one feels a lot more contained. They literally blow up the bridges in the movie to keep it contained. And so you're stuck here. And so I think, I don't know if it necessarily expands on the lore or expands the world, really. They try to show you a couple of things about they're like eating something in the middle of that building, but it's not human based or anything. So it's not like
I didn't know what the hell they were eating. I was so confused.
It's not like they're feeding on humans. So they show glimpses of stuff that maybe this would expand the universe, but it doesn't really do anything to expand the universe. So I maybe take a little points off of that. I just think you could make actually though 1 billion of these movies of shit, they're in Los Angeles, you could do everything. You could do every city everywhere like this. And I am interested to get back to the original characters of the first two movies. Of course, it's always great seeing Emily Blunt on the screen with a shotgun, just cool. But I think this world that Jim from The Office made is really, really unique and singular in this space of PG-13 horror sci-fi movies. Now it takes a lot from Alien, and everything does, but
there's like blatant homage to Alien, and I
yeah,
guess they're throughout all three of the films. But this one, it felt like there was a lot of Alien, some down over the shoulder, Alien in the face, kind of
yeah,
direct
yeah.
homages to Alien.
Yeah, and I mean the tagline for Alien in Space, nobody can hear you scream. It's the whole thing.
Mhm.
I just think that they've done a good job of cultivating what this thing is. They understand the mechanics of how it works, and sometimes they think the aliens are a little stupid, but whatever, they become scary because they're fast as fuck. And you're
They are
just like,
so fast, man.
yeah. And so it does a good job of keeping you on the edge of your seat. I will say there's like somebody dude had his ringer on and was like texting with like the clicker mode next to me, and I just want to be like, dude. And then somebody kept like saying stuff, like talking and snickering, and somebody in the back of the theater goes, "Shut the fuck up!" And it was just like it's that kind of movie. So I really
This is
appreciate
not the movie you need to be making noise in the movie theater.
Yeah.
This is not that kind of movie.
I
man.
really appreciate these movies. What they do with the sound design, they've always been great. These are movies that beg to be like, no matter what you do with your Sonos surround system at home, you cannot
Nothing can do the
replicate
same.
your washers going off in the background. You're
Yeah.
on Twitter, like it. You cannot replicate what it feels like when everybody is like holding their breath in this movie. To that end, because it doesn't do much to necessarily expand the universe, the ending is semi forced a little bit. I think the song choice could have been maybe better a little bit at the end. I don't, I like that song, but it's very 2002. It feels like. And I don't know. I think the ending's a little contrived, but also how else was it going to end? I think
Sure.
the performances from Lupita and Joseph Quinn's like on a pretty upward trajectory.
Bro,
He's
this
going to be in
guy is 30
Gladiator.
years old. He's already got a Stranger Things check. He's in A Quiet Place. He's in the fucking Fantastic Four, and he's in Gladiator 2. This dude is 30 years old.
Yeah, it's about to be the summer of, white boy summer of Joseph Quinn and Paul Mescal.
That's
But like,
insane.
yeah, I think he is going to do really well for himself. But Lupita Nyong'o she's just a screen presence that every time I see her in things, she just elevates everything for me. And it's one, she's the best crier in Hollywood, bar none.
She's so good.
She's really good. Jaimin Hanso also is very good crier on screen, but she's incredible at that. Just everything that she wears all of her emotions on her face, and she's just this expressive screen presence. And also she's beautiful, but it's she has such a screen presence that I hope that continues to get better and better projects. She's pretty good at picking scripts, but it just hadn't, after she won the Oscar, it hadn't quite taken off for her where I thought it would be, but this is a track in the right direction for me. I give it a B+. I could see 1,000 of these movies. I hope they kind of get back to exploring how they defeat these things, but then what do you do? Then you just end the franchise. I don't think they want to do that. These movies keep making money. Regardless, I digress. But yeah, I give it a B+.
So I wanted to ask you guys, in your screen, when they were actually whispering, did you have issues with actually hearing what they were saying? Because obviously, since we're moving from a day one and the Krasinski family of having sign language, like we have the use of subtitles because of that, because we obviously don't know sign. But seeing as this is all whispering, they get rid of the subtitles. But like I was having audio issues where it's like if I could still get subtitles, I don't know why that wouldn't be an option when you're trying to whisper in a movie theater. But I just want to know if you guys had that issue as well, because I'm actually waiting to see it at home to sort of fill in the blanks. Obviously, it could because of how the story was going, but just to see for sure like what the actual dialogue was from scene to scene.
Well, it has been.
Issue, but there were lines of dialogue that I missed. But like you said, because of the context of everything, I was able to put it together really fast. But I do agree. I mean, the world that I would like to live in, we would subtitle everything on the big screen. But obviously, I'm in a minority, so I would not mind the subtitles. But no, it wasn't like to the level of what the fuck is the
any Nolan
that
movie
goes backwards?
Tenet.
Tenet. It wasn't like on the Tenet level where I literally couldn't hear anything.
Or
But I
me.
did every time they whispered, I was like, "This is a mild inconvenience to me because I know they have to whisper for the plot of the movie." But also, I would rather just hear the dialogue. Like I'd rather just hear the dialogue, and let's just. And they tried to work some stuff because there were times where they tried to show you the movement of the monsters, of like where the monsters were, to show you like monsters are not here anymore. Like they are running all that way, so like now we can talk. But you can't always do that because that's not the way the movies are. The movies are not following the horde of monsters, and usually in these movies, there's not a horde of monsters. This movie is actually very different in that way because in A Quiet Place, you don't really get a horde of monsters until like the end scene of these movies. But
It's
really,
only
just
like
one,
3 of them.
yeah, it's like a small amount of monsters that they're trying to. Like the first one they're on the farm, it's like 2 monsters. But
well, in the second one,
horrifying.
there's one monster that sneaks onto the island for the ending scene, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like a small number. So seeing like a horde of the monsters changes things because now they have a sense of the movements of the monsters to an extent. But there were times where the logic broke and there would be a monster that was either straggling or wandering around somewhere, and all of a sudden they'd be in trouble again. So it was like I noticed they were trying to give us the migration of where the monsters were going, but you couldn't really do it one for one throughout the movie. So then I was like, oh, now we got to whisper. And I was like, I'd rather us not whisper. But it's not something that necessarily bothered me.
I'm well documented, and I mean, TJ is as well. We're deaf without our subtitles. I can't hear without my subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, every movie would have subtitles. Even like Oppenheimer, which was like the pretty crisp dialogue. I would be like, I need some text at the bottom of the screen. But
the writing hits home more when I got those subtitles down there, and I could really really hear it.
Yeah.
That's what it hits.
Yeah, there was a time though when he's reading her poem about her dad and cancer.
Yeah, see, I definitely missed some of that poem.
Yeah, I didn't get most of that.
I definitely missed some of that poem, but I was like, I can't hear that. I cannot hear what he's saying.
So yeah, I mean, in that way, I'd probably be killed by a monster because somebody be whispering to me. I'll be like, "What?
What?
I can't hear you." No, I don't. I don't have much more to say other than where do they go from here? Do y'all have any thoughts on? They'll probably crank one of these out every 2 years now, probably.
So who do we have left on the board? Obviously, Jim is dead, but he did appear in the second one via flashback. But Jim is dead. Emily Blunt is still alive, and I think the kids are still alive.
2 kids are both alive.
Now there's 3 kids.
Cillian Murphy.
And Cillian Murphy's alive. But Djimon Hounsou died in the second one, didn't he?
Because he was like, what if they went back for my family?
Yes. Then he gets dragged out the back of that.
Or the monster could literally just be outside waiting for you. How about you just wait?
Yeah. I forgot that Cillian Murphy also popped up in that. I need to go back and revisit. I don't remember a lot about the second one, but I think it's mostly because I've seen the first one like 6 times. Like I was obsessed with it immediately, and I kept watching it. And that one rings so true in my brain. The only thing I really remember about the 6th one is that they're at a baseball game, and that's I remember them being in that town where they're at the baseball game. But that's pretty much all I remember.
Yeah,
and
that's
how she knows Cillian
where
Murphy's character.
the attack starts. Is they're at the game and they're like watching the shit unfold. And they're like, "Okay, guys, games. We're calling it for the day. You guys go home and check to see what the hell's going on."
There's definitely going to be another one after day 1, but before the first movie, because like when they blew up the bridge, my first thought was, oh, so now we're going to have another movie to see how they escaped the island. Because right now, all we know is that they landed in New York and then they couldn't leave the island because they can't swim. But either more of the little meteors that came to Earth landed in other places, or there's some way that the ones from New York got to the other places.
Well, yeah, I definitely think it's scattered everywhere, because if you go into the assumption that like they're just like outside of New York in some out bumfuck New York town, they are in that town already because they get attacked while they were trying to escape the baseball game.
Yeah, you see the meteor things coming down in the second one. Now maybe that could have been way far away. Yeah. I think you see some of them like fall away because they're like instantly on top of them in like upstate New York or wherever they are. So, John Krasinski come back to direct some of these movies instead of making whatever that If movie was that tanked.
Yeah, how much money did he make for If? That's the question.
That movie cost $110 million to make. Did you realize that? And it
I
made
don't know how much shit costs.
it made
anymore. I don't get it.
184. So like they just kept it in theaters and it did okay, but it like made less than Garfield. So
I don't know how much any movies cost.
Way
You
more
can tell me a movie
budget for
costs
the
$700
cast in that
million to make, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I don't know how much shit costs anymore.
If should cost $30 million to make, but it's all CGI.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
I don't know.
CGI.
I don't know how
Inside
much
Out.
computer processing
Perfectly
costs.
great movie.
And
Why
Steve
does Inside Out
Carell's-
cost $100 million? Why
Steve
does it
Carell's
cost $40
character
million?
is huge, so that's a big budget to have him constantly on screen like this giant imaginary friend.
We'll get to what we're watching. I've been watching all the old Harry Potter movies just because we were bored. It was on cable actually, and YouTube TV, which is now cable. But we were watching them. Bring back animatronics. They used to make things in this country. You know what I mean? Put
Yeah.
Steve Carell in a purple suit and put him out there.
Do you know, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix? Oh, 75 million, but that's fake money. That's British money. I want to know how much these movies cost because I need to start. My brain does not recognize how much movies. How do you spend $100 million to make a Garfield movie? I just literally don't understand that.
All the Harry Potter movies usually cost around $100 million to make, but would make like.
See, that makes perfect sense.
9 times
it costs $100
return.
million now.
The first Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which you would think you go back and watch it, you're like, where is that budget? Cost $125 million to make, but it made $1 billion. So it's all those movies are crazy money makers. So yeah, that has been A Quiet Place Part 1. Anything else that we want to talk about the movie? I think huge swing to just say our character is dying from the first frame. Like that
makes it so different than the previous two movies because we know the people in the middle of those movies, so we're watching a survival tale, right? Yeah. We think that we are. Whereas in this one, like just like you said, we know she's dead. Like as soon as they realize she has cancer, you're like, oh, so she's dead. Like she's not going to make it out of this movie, and you know that. And I just thought that was a big swing, and it was like a perfect way to do a prequel that is like a prequel where we know like we're not trying to meet new humans. We're probably done with it. This is more Rogue One. This is not Episode 4. This is Rogue One. Yeah. So we know these guys are dead. Now enjoy the ride as before they die. I thought that was smart.
I didn't know I came to my Quiet Place screening for a reflection on death and dying. I didn't know I signed up for that.
I did have a question for you guys. All right, so I'm watching. This is more Quiet Place 2 than Quiet Place 3. How fast do y'all think humanity falls and like these like blood tribal factions start up? Because in Quiet Place 2, we're at roughly, it's been a year, I think, is what it was after the event of the actual thing, and that's when like Cillian Murphy and the daughter are attacked by a group of like bloodthirsty such and suches on a dock in that movie. And I just want to know, when do y'all think that like it's gonna go to shit, and like unless you're like in a valley somewhere where you have a plethora of resources to allow you to go through, that you're just like, oh, I'm going into Cincinnati and it's just gonna be fucked today. Like I just know that it's gonna be horrible.
A week and a half.
Yeah, immediately.
People are ready to do that right now.
Yeah, like literally immediately.
Aliens start to attack. They're like, I'm eating that guy.
We did have to ration off toilet paper for a worldwide pandemic, so that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
The thing is that it seems like it's like a mass eradication event, though. So it's like, Joseph Quinn in this movie kind of walks into a drugstore. Obviously, those things would be rated once people kind of figure it out.
Yeah,
but they kind of in both of these movies, especially in the first one, they're walking into like fully stocked things still because there's not a ton of people left to sort of raid these places. Yeah. So it may be like the second one feels sort of like 28 days later in that way, where it's like all of a sudden this sort of happened. Mm-hmm. But and they kind of accidentally wander into those like cannibalistic people on the water. Yeah. But so it may be few and far between in that universe. But I think in the world that I live in right now, I think my neighbor shoots me in the face for penicillin. Like, I think that's just like I just believe that in my heart.
Man.
I'm looking at a list. Speaking of the old blog post, I'm looking at a blog post that Marcus made about sequels that are better than the originals.
Ooh.
And I just want to go through this list. The first one listed is Bad Boys 2, which I've already addressed on this podcast is a wrong opinion. Just completely wrong. Bad Boys 2 is a great movie, but wrong. Home Alone 2, that has Donald Trump in it. Immediately wrong. Like, we can't do that. We cannot do that at this time. Rocky 4, I would agree with that. Spider-Man 2, I would definitely agree with that. I have Die Hard.
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2, by the way.
Yes, sorry, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. I got old. I got to do that. Die Hard with a Vengeance, I would have equal to Die Hard, so I'll give you. I'll agree with that.
But that's not the second Die Hard.
True,
but
it's a sequel.
I guess it's
like
a sequel.
We did Rocky 4.
Okay, fair.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I don't give a fuck about Indiana Jones. I don't know any of those
I
movies.
agree with you on that. Actually, I love Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day, absolute fact.
Yeah, we had
Dark
a
Knight,
person on this
absolute
podcast say
That's
different.
That's the list.
I would add Empire Strikes. Did you say Empire Strikes Back?
Empire was not on there, no.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's a
mostly
good
true,
one.
except for you wanted to say Bad Boys 2 was mid, is what you wanted to say.
I love Bad Boys 2.
not
I don't want to
true.
be a Bad Boys 2 hater on the internet because I actually love Bad Boys 2.
Bro.
Bad Boys 1 is literally a perfect film. There's no notes. I would not change one thing about it. It's perfect.
The sequence with the Haitians on the highway and in the house. There's
It's
nothing
amazing.
there's nothing in Bad Boys 1 that has those two sequences nearly, like, not anywhere in the ballpark.
Wait,
Will
the
Smith-
vacations?
Will
Yeah, the
Smith
vacation.
took his shirt off on a bridge and ran, and it literally, Will Smith's words, the moment that made him a movie star. That's
And
a
that's
fucking
fair.
asteroid hitting Earth at the time he takes off his shirt. It is the biggest moment in movie history for that decade. It's like,
From
it
Michael
happens
Bay's
there.
lips to God's ears.
Actual
man.
dialogue. Martin Lawrence turns to Will Smith and says, "Did you see that?" Will Smith says, "They're flipping cars, Marcus. How the fuck did I not see that?" Bad Boys 2, better than the first one.
Oh my God.
What are y'all watching?
Yeah.
I'm watching a shitload of TV, like all the TV. I'm watching so many TV shows. TV shows are coming out of my ears, and I love it because all
Yeah.
the TV shows I'm watching are fucking great. So I'm watching, like I said, Presumed Innocence, The Boys, House of the Dragon. Have you caught up on House of the Dragon yet, Royden?
No, man, I got on my bear kick. I am knuckles deep in the bear right now.
I started The Bear as well, and I'm watching Dark Matter still. So I have a lot of TV shows going on. So I haven't really been watching movies, but I need to get through Pearl again, and I need to watch Triple X, which I've never seen because I want to see Maxine. Also, I'm going to see in the next couple of days, I'm going to see Kinds of Kindness. Marcus is going as well. We're
Yeah,
both going on the
probably
4th of July to
going
see
on
Kinds of Kindness.
Oh, what a great way to celebrate America.
I didn't
Yes,
even know that it
exactly.
was in theaters until I went to my showing for what's it called today and saw it in the theaters too. I was like, whoa, I gotta make time
I
for it.
think it was in the theaters for 2 days in Waco. They're just like, nah.
Jeez.
I'm also have to watch Dead Reckoning part 1 because I have to do another podcast for Dead Reckoning Part 1. So I have to review, and I've only seen that once. So I'm very excited to jump back into that. I'll probably get to that this weekend. So I'm extremely excited to revisit the greatness of Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I
Okay.
really enjoyed.
I just gotta say this. I did not enjoy Dead Reckoning as much as I did
Oh,
Fallout.
well,
I have
yes.
to see it
Okay,
again.
that's not
I
Fallout
have to
is
see it again. I hold Fallout in such high regard that Dead Reckoning by default had a very tough hill to climb. But like the AI bullshit, I just was not a fan.
Yeah, that was
not
the big takeaway for me. Is like I'm really not into this AI thing that we're doing. But I never like I don't think that like Fallout is up there with the John Wick 4 territories for me in terms of these IPs that like Fallout is fucking phenomenal. It's incredible. It's perfect. So I would not have Dead Reckoning on that level either. But I did really enjoy it. I did really enjoy it. Despite the AI thing being stupid. I think that's a stupid villain. I don't care. I want to see Tom Cruise standing across from Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't want to see Tom Cruise versus AI. I just
don't know why that was the choice. Like, I, that's what I'm just frustrated. I'm just frustrated by it.
I'm gonna revisit that this week.
Me, I'm doing what TJ's doing. I watching a lot of TV. I got the Horizon watch today. Like I said, Kinds of Kindness. Like he said, probably on Thursday. We just finished Napkins on the Bear. This show is very much aging me.
What
I
episode
don't
is
know.
Napkins?
It's like 6 or 7.
Okay, I only finished the first 2.
Yeah, it is. Man, episode 3 is like why I will die 5 years short, away from where my actual lifespan was going to be. Because I looked at my wife multiple times. I was like, I can't get through this episode. There's so much shit happening in this kitchen. I can't get through this episode. We have to stop. We have to stop. We have to stop. We have to stop. And got through it, and it was absolutely painful. I started the Acolyte. Apparently, it's getting good, and like a definitive episode supposed to be coming up next week. I got 2 episodes or 3 episodes in, and I was like, "This is fine." And I don't know what I want from any Star Wars thing at this particular
Me
point in time.
either.
So, because we rail
You guys
against.
seen Andor? That's what you want from a Star Wars
I
IP.
still have not seen Andor, so I
What is
got
wrong with y'all?
through like 3 episodes of Andor, but I know you said that you had to watch them in like 3 episode chunks, and I stopped watching it, so I need to like basically start over.
Yeah, it's basically 4 different chunks of 3 episodes for Andor. I waited until they were all out, which is probably what I'm gonna do with the Acolyte, and it is the best Star Wars thing that I've ever seen in terms of quality. Obviously, nostalgia and other things have put other Star Wars IPs ahead of it, but start to finish, it is like if you like Mando season 1 and 2, this shits on that. Like, no disrespect to Mando, what they were doing with Andor it's mind blowing what they were able to accomplish. I did not know a Star Wars story could give me the things that Andor gave me. It was great. It was great. I don't know whether season 2 is going to be any good. Andor's great, man. It's really good.
People are very mad online about the Acolyte, and they don't know why.
Why are they mad?
Nobody can. Any
of the dialogue.
Well, I know at one point, like, there's a whip lightsaber that gets introduced, and people were pissed off about that. But people are pissed off in general about everything about Star Wars. And like I said, my favorite one is probably Last Jedi, and I know that a lot of the truthers of Star Wars hate that movie. But like, there's been so much talk about what the Star Wars universe is and how it has to always tie in with the Skywalkers. And that movie, Rian Johnson was like, you know what? Rey can just be nobody. She can just be someone that has
Which
Force
was the
powers.
right call, by the way. I don't care what you
right call.
say.
Which was absolutely the right call.
Because the Rise of Skywalker is a fucking abomination.
It's literally an abomination.
It's
and
awful.
That Luke Skywalker, or Mark Hamill, can be pissed off. But I'm glad that he was pissed off about what happened to Luke, but still put in a stellar performance. Because I love his Luke Skywalker performance in that movie. But we don't know what we want from these movies anymore, from this brand anymore.
Right.
And like whenever somebody takes a chance like that, like a Rogue One, like a Last Jedi, like we immediately want to shit on it. And it's like,
I really like The Last Jedi. The Force Awakens is what got me. I know that it's literally just New Hope, but I don't care. I like A New Hope, dude. New Hope is a great film. And I don't mind that we just made it again. I had a great time. And
keep making A New Hope.
Great. Yeah, just make A New Hope again. I'm in there. I really like The Force Awakens. That shit, to this day, I still love The Force Awakens. You put that shit on, I'm watching that.
So, other than that, like TJ said earlier, we got movies every week. I did a quick rundown of my list, and there's at least 10 movies in the next month and a half that I'll be seeing. And then that's without realizing that Kinds of Kindness already came out. So, I'm going. This will be the 3rd movie I've seen in a week when I see Kinds of Kindness on Thursday.
These long leg reviews are giving me so much life. I need that movie more than I need air. If it is even 1/4 of as scary as people are making out to be, that shit's going to be great. And that trailer is amazing. And I love serial killer stuff. And I love scary movies. So Long Legs is made for me. I cannot fucking wait.
Two horror movie questions. Are y'all in on Smile 2? And are y'all in on Trap?
I'm 100% in on Trap.
I'm 100% in on both of those.
I didn't see I didn't see Smile 1.
Smells good.
That's what I heard. I just like
So
I pick and choose my horror
fucking good.
movies. I'm not a huge coward like Dex. Happy birthday, Dex, by the way. I'm not a
Happy
huge
birthday,
coward.
Dex.
Yeah, I'm
Coward.
not a huge coward like
Happy
him.
birthday, man.
But I pick and choose what horror movies I want to go to because I don't want the trauma. But
You
but
will have
Smile-
some
You don't
trauma
want
with
trauma.
Smile.
You need to watch Smile.
You will
Yeah.
have some trauma. You will have some
Smile,
trauma.
Smile.
There's
is
so many
good.
questions that I have about the world building in Smile because it doesn't
Same.
make sense. Like they are constantly in this incredibly dark ass house for no fucking reason. They just don't believe in electricity. This is like a $1.5 million pad, and they just don't have fucking light bulbs anywhere in this house.
Have
It
you
makes
seen
no
the trailer
sense.
for Smile 2?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
So
in theaters. This
our
in
new
front of the
protagonist
fireplace.
is a pop star,
Yep.
which means that they're going to kill her in front of the whole world. That's great. That's such a smart idea. I love that. I'm in for Trapped. I am in for Smile 2. They both trailers kick ass. I cannot wait for both of those.
that whole sequence in the trailer where she's flipping out and like there's like an army of Smile fans that are like rolling down the hallway
Yeah.
towards her. I am so in on this movie.
I am in for Trap. Give me I'm kind of on a M. Night Shyamalan is back, or has always kind of been back.
Hey, Knock at the Cabin goes crazy.
Yeah.
Bro. What
Knock
is
at the
that
Cabin
called?
was
What is that? Yeah, Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah,
I
Knock
liked
at
That
the
it.
was
Cabin.
ridiculous, but hilarious.
yeah.
I loved it. Batista, real cinema. I'm in. And the Trap trailer looks good. I know that Shyamalan can really cut a trailer, and maybe Trap is bad. But I don't care. I'm going to be there. Day one. I
Well,
want
it's
to
a
see what the hype
Josh
is.
Hartnett comeback, guys.
And Josh
Yeah, I
Hartnett's
know.
great.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm totally in.
I have been watching actually a lot of movies. The Bear being 30-minute episodes is bad for my health too, because I'm like, I gotta see what
I got to
happens.
click another one.
Yeah.
Roy, my wife said the exact same thing. We got done with the third episode, and she was like, "But they're only 30 minutes, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch the next one."
Yeah. Make TV 30 minutes again, please. What are we doing with these Stranger Things eat your heart out,
Yeah.
where they're all an hour and a half long. But besides that, after the presidential debates, I had a panic attack, so I needed to watch a comedy movie, and so I watched Role Models. It's on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
Role Models, very funny. Some language you couldn't get away with now, but
At all.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I've watched all of the Harry Potter movies. We're on the 6th one. We gotta watch that
What's
one.
your favorite one of the 7.5?
Well, I mean, actually, my favorite one of all time is the last one, just because it's like the culmination of everything, and I still remember the feeling of nostalgia. I kind of get a feeling of nostalgia when I go back
That's
and I
the
watch
third
the
best
last one. But like, actually, the best one is Prisoner of Azkaban by like a
Facts.
country mile.
Facts.
Alfonso Cuarón just like said, you know what? I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to make a film in the middle of this Harry Potter thing. And he's just doing stuff with like the camera, and it looks great for even,
Facts.
the first two are like silly, and the CGI is bad when you go back and you look at it. It's like very bad 2000 CGI. And he's just like, I'm just going to make a film in the middle
And
of all
the
this.
actors in the third one have finally settled into their roles. The third one is when they went from IP to real cinema. That is when everything changed.
Yeah.
And obviously the tone change between the first and second books and the third books lends itself to a creative change. But like the third one is when I was like, oh shit, we're not just making blockbusters. We're making cinema. That's what set it apart.
My personal favorite, though, I mean, I love the last one, but my personal favorite is my favorite book is Goblet of Fire. And I rewatched that. And it's before they switched to Mike Newell, I believe is his name, after Alfonso didn't come back. And he does a really good job with that movie. It's like fun and kind of scary and dark at the same time. And it takes a really dark turn at the end. They just murder a kid at the end of the movie. But then they kind of move on to the David Yates films. And until the last couple, it's really sort of like the fifth one is really mean-spirited
Order
and
of the
nasty.
Phoenix is not good, man.
It's kind of interesting. But there's parts of the David Yates films that I'm going back. I know this is now turned into like our fandom podcast, but like there's parts of the David Yates films where I'm like, man, this is really good, well-built like action and cinema and well-filmed stuff. And then there's parts of them where I'm like, oh yeah, he never directed an actual feature film before he made these movies. He was doing like TV miniseries before he made those movies. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Cause some of them it's just like, oof, yeesh. But it all culminates with the last one. And he does a really good job with that one. But the third and the fourth ones are just really good fantasy movies on their own.
Yeah, Goblet was the first one that I saw. It's the first ever exposure I had to the Harry Potter world was Goblet of Fire, and thus from that I read all the books from that point on. Um, my favorite, it's probably my favorite movie because it's the first one that I saw is Goblet. But I also really like Deathly Hallows Part One.
Underrated movie compared
too.
to like people like shit on it because it just first half of a full movie yada yada. Why they break it up? They needed to actually break it up into two parts. But there's parts of that movie where I'm like, oh, this is gritty and dirty, and it's a really interesting. And the part where they're like running through the woods from those people, it's like, did you just film like a battle scene in the middle of this thing? I really enjoy that movie for what it is, but. I mean, could you supercut it into one film? Probably, but
that's not as fun.
Yeah, I just think that it is unbelievable that they pulled off 8 of those movies. One didn't fuck up any of those kids, by the way. They're all like normal people, pretty much, for the most part. And 2, that they pretty much ascended in quality from the first one. A slight dip in the middle, but yeah, they continuously were really, really good. Hey, if you haven't watched those Harry Potter movies, go back and
ever heard of them?
Ever heard of them? Right. Anyway, so I kind of tend to do this like once every year or two, is go back through those movies. I don't know, like just holding on to whatever piece of childhood that I possibly can. But yeah, so that has been what I'm watching, and I don't know. I'm going to watch Presumed Innocent. I think that's next on the docket after I finish The Bear. I will finish House of the Dragon. But
I'm going to watch, because I didn't know it was a movie until I was listening to some of the Ringer pods talk about it, that it was actually a movie with Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford is one of my 2 favorite actors of all time.
Oh, yeah. It was a movie first.
Yeah. So I'm going to finish the series and then go back and watch the movie.
Right.
I'm also going to go back and watch the movie after I finish the series. But I don't want to know the ending, so I'm going to keep just watching.
So fucking good. Jake Gyllenhaal is killing it. I love Bill Camp, and he needs to be in more things, and he's
incredible character actor. Bill Camp.
Dialogue is on point with Bill and Jake. All their scenes.
You're doing a good job with Presumed Innocent. I'm enjoying it.
Bill Camp was in he was in The Leftovers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, as that really strange character in his dreams or whatever. Incredible. I love Bill Camp. He's like, just when you pop up, you're like, oh shit, that's that guy.
He was in Queen's Gambit. He taught her how to play chess.
Yeah. All right. He was that's what I watched. Dark Waters the other. I think I told y'all this, but he plays like a farmer in Dark Waters, and he comes up and he's like, they're poisoning my cows. They're in there, and you're just like, whoa. It's a real big swing that he does. Anyway, that has been a One Take Podcast, episode 179. You can find us at One Take Pod on Twitter, One Take Pod on Instagram, TikTok, the like. Go like, download, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. Marcus, where can they find you on Twitter?
Yes, sir. Again, my name is just Marcus J. Brent on Twitter. We are under a month for NCAA football 2020. The rebellion will be squashed. Darth Visor will be stalking the sidelines once again. We're putting 50 points on any and everybody that wants it. Orin 1417 is my tag on PlayStation. Come get some, bitches.
Dynasty Deep Dive went hard today on online.
That thing gave me so much life.
Did you read all 85? Did you actually read?
Yes,
all
I fucking did. I'm probably gonna read it again.
It doesn't work. What are you talking about?
I'm probably gonna fucking read it again. I've been waiting for 10 years for that Dynasty Deep Dive. I am so thankful. We are almost back.
That is where your lawyering comes into effect. He's like, "What? Can you read a brief?" No, I read all 85 pages.
I read 85 pages of the Dynasty Deep Dive. Real goddamn literature.
By the way, you better not embarrass us in front of the hose on that Slander You podcast.
Represent us well. I'm ready.
Okay.
We had press conferences today, and we recorded them for the pod, and they are a complete fucking mess. This Dynasty is the most negative thing of all time, and I've been in a Dynasty with Marcus for years and years and years. and somehow this dynasty is much more negative than even him.
Without
And
even
Marcus
playing
is
a
the
game
biggest shit
yet.
talker of all time, and these
I
guys
think-
are even worse.
I think we're
that's
gonna
awful.
have to-
It's awful.
I think we're gonna have to start a one take pod dynasty league as well with Marcus. So Marcus, I might pass that off to you to get that moving in the right direction because they're running
You
from
don't
the
wanna
grind
play
over
with
there.
Marcus.
They're running from the grind over there at Slander U and not inviting the rest of us. So that's all I'm
We're
saying.
the 16 of the worst guys you've ever heard of in your life in one dynasty. It's a mess. I give it over under. I took the under at 1.5 seasons. I took it under.
Before
someone's leaving this
people
dynasty.
quit.
We had someone quit today like 5 times. The same person quit like 5 times. Came back to the chat. They quit again. We haven't even got the game yet. It's awful. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, real negativity is back. Anyway,
It's horrible.
I guess I'll handle this. Or T, do you want to tell us what we're doing since Dex isn't here?
Oh yeah, Dex is gone. Well, we're gonna support Florence Pugh like we always do.
As we always do.
And thank y'all for tuning in.
All right, we're out.